What is up, guys? How we doing? How we doing? We got a new subscriber the last couple days. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support and welcome to the team. I usually like to recommend my trauma dumping playlist. It has my whole life story on it, get you to know me better. But I got a movie playlist, football playlists, Discord, Twitch, whatever your heart's desire. But whether you support me for one video or for all of them, I just appreciate you. And yeah, Peacemaker episode 4 came out last night. I tried to make a video last night, but I was just too damn tired to even remember what I just watched. So I rewatched it this morning, and what an episode it was. So last episode we ended on, Peacemaker was in the other universe and just set up things with Harcourt and saved the day, and in his eyes, this is the best universe ever. And so at the end, he comes back to his universe while Argus is about to arrest him for having the quantum unfolding chamber. So we open the episode 35 years ago with a young Peacemaker and a young Keith, and this universe's version of them and their dad, Augie Smith, out hunting, and they end up shooting an alien, and an alien is carrying this metal shaped thing, kind of shaped like Peacemaker's helmet, and they see the portal in the woods, and then we get the title sequence, which is just a huge reveal, because from last season we thought that Peacemaker's dad was this brilliant scientist, engineer that made the quantum unfolding chamber. But no, apparently they just accidentally found it in the woods. And then after the title sequence, which is really growing on me, by the way, especially this song. I don't think the dance is as good, but the song I love. And Persephone's been singing the end of it, the la 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 part, and it's adorable. Anyway, no, I don't let her watch the show, if you're wondering. Anyway, then we go to the Argus team, which is John Economos, Judo Master, Sasha, Agent Froley, and the Eagle Killer. I do not remember his name, so I'm just going to keep calling him the Eagle Killer, and Ponyboy. I know he got demoted to a worse name. I'm just going to call him Ponyboy. And they're bantering in the truck, which is kind of hilarious. The Economos is bantering with Judo Master and talking about, the time that he rammed him with the van and whatnot, and then the Eagle Killer chimes in and is, keeps calling him the little Chinese man, and Economos ends up, and Judo Master end up basically turning on the Eagle Killer and calling him a dumbass, and then Agent Froley pushes Economos' buttons, so he outs him for winking and acting like, his superior was wrapped around his finger, and pisses off Sasha. Basically, this is a team that is not getting along whatsoever. And Economos manages to send a text to Peacemaker to say, get out, they're going to kill Eagly. I don't see how he would have been able to sneakily get that text off, but okay. And yeah, Peacemaker just came from the other dimension. He's laying in bed. He's just now realizing everything that went down in his house, seeing bullet holes in the ceiling. And, the last time he was in the room, he was drunk, so he didn't really see all this. And Eagly is trying to get stuff out of the fridge, and he gets the text, and then he grabs that metal thing we saw in the beginning and heads out the back. And as that happens, the Argus team starts surrounding the building and coming in, and we get a scene with the Eagle Killer eating Eagly's shit and saying what it tastes like. That's how you get swine flu, man. Swine flu is incurable. Anyway, yeah, then we get a badass scene between Judo Master and Peacemaker, and Here's something that I hope they address. So in episode 2, when we get the flashback of Rick Flag Sr. reading the documents of Rick Flag Jr. being killed, Sasha says that Peacemaker is in the good graces of Argus because of his work on Project Butterfly. How the hell is Judo Master, who was working with the Butterflies, now an Argus agent? And it's not like he's had a moral change. He confirmed that because he said, you've ruined the world once, I'm not going to let you do it again. So he still thinks he was in the right for working with the Butterflies. I hope they touch on that instead of it just being an excuse to bring him back. I mean, I am happy to see him back, but it just doesn't make any sense, because if Argus said that Peacemaker is in the good graces because of his work on Project Butterfly, then that would mean that they would be against Judo Master then. Anyway, just a tangent. They have a badass fight sequence, and ultimately Peacemaker ends up winning. They tumble down a hill, and Peacemaker falls on him, knocks him out, and yeah, he calls Adebayo up to come pick him up. Meanwhile, at the house that Argus is overtaking, while the fighting was going down, the Eagle Killer basically had Eagly lined up in his sights, and John Economos pushed him over, and his head hit a rock violently, knocking him out for a second. And then after the fight, we come back to them, and whenever they're trying to pick the lock, so they say, go get Economos, and the Eagle Killer wakes up and is like, what the hell happened? And John Economos tells him that another eagle came and swooped down and attacked him, and he's like, that's impossible because eagles are solitary creatures. That must mean that this is the primary eagle. This is the eagle that I've been training all my life to kill, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But then, yeah, they call John Economos in to break the lock, and I actually love the character. We're getting a lot of character development from John Economos this season, you know? He's like standing his ground and against his boss, against being called Ginger Cool, and yeah, there's a lot of character development for John this season, and I think Steve Agee is doing a great job, and yeah, he comes in and is supposed to crack open the door, and we find a little backstory that he hacked into Argus or the CIA when he was 14, and that's why he was recruited. But he has this banter with Sasha about, like, she doesn't get paid to put up with his shit, and he's like, yes you do. Like, if you read my dossier, I had these social deficiencies, but if you look past that, my talents are worth it, so you quite literally do get paid to put up with my shit. Just love that, like, again, that Economos is sticking up for himself there. And then Agent Fruley calls him Ginger Cool again, and he fucking spits on him. And dude, what a shot that was. In the podcast, I recommend you check it out. Tim Meadows is on this week's episode. They talked about the machine that they used to project the spit, and that they did it like 20 takes, and that Tim Meadows was having a hard time. Every time it hit him, he was saying ow on accident, which I find funny. But then, when he's told to break open the door, he goes out to the van to get the technological device that he needs to crack the code, and he calls Peacemaker to let him know that, hey, I'm about to break into this quantum unfolding chamber, and Peacemaker tells him to stall, and Peacemaker starts spilling the beans to Adebayo that, you know, this quantum unfolding chamber is actually movable, and that, yeah, Augie didn't make it. That they discovered it in the woods like we saw at the beginning, and then they moved it one time from the woods to his dad's trailer, and then again from his dad's trailer to his dad's house. And so this little device that's shaped like his helmet is basically a thing that allows you to move the portal. And so his goal is to go to his grandfather's cabin and move the portal before John Economos can crack the code. So John Economos then goes in and stalls and, goes as slow as humanly possible. And it works. Right as he cracks the code and the door is open, Peacemaker and Adebayo get to the cabin and set up the quantum unfolding chamber. I keep calling it a portal. The quantum unfolding chamber in his grandpa's cabin. And meanwhile, in the car ride, he called Vigilante to grab a door and some hinges. And so whenever they open the door, it's just a regular closet. And so Sasha calls Rick Flag Sr. and says we're, coming up empty-handed, and he still doesn't believe, rightfully so, that Peacemaker, it isn't hiding anything. So he asks for Harcourt's address and then goes and visits her, and we get a great scene of seeing Harcourt being just really vulnerable there for a minute. Harcourt is such a badass character, and the reveal of Rick Flag Jr., I've went back and kind of watched season 1, it really does completely kind of change everything about their chemistry in the beginning of the season. You can, the first time they meet in the trailer in episode 1, and Peacemaker says, I killed Rick Flag for you people, and she chimes in and is it's funny how, nobody told you to do that, and it's funny how killing people often coincides with, your thoughts. So you can see it. There were definitely breadcrumbs. Anyway, what I mean by vulnerable is, her electric's about to be shut off. She sees that Rick Flag's at the door. So she takes a moment after she had just gotten into a bar fight to, get her hair back and straighten up and try to be as professional as possible. And so he comes in and he talks to her and talks about, Rick Flag Jr. and Harcourt, like Economos in episode 2, sticks up for Peacemaker and says, he was forced to do this by Amanda Waller. And I love that they're having his back there. And, because she could just as easily be fuck that. Because Rick Flag's response to that is, I defied Amanda Waller's orders many times. And she, still thinks this isn't quite fair. He was just doing what he was told to stay out of prison, and unfortunately that ended up resulting in Rick Flag's life, whether we agree with that act or not. And he confirms to her that she has been black booked by Amanda Waller, that she for the rest of her life cannot be hired by any agencies. And then she loses her composure and is that's bullshit. I fought for this country. I literally, with 5 soldiers, saved the fucking world, almost died doing it, and now I can't do the one thing I've been trained to do my entire life. And he hears her, but he's clearly just trying to use her, and he says something about being in this for the accolades, and she says, I could give a shit about the accolades, what I care about is my electric bill. And so he says, look, if you want to get back into the graces of Argus, the good graces of Argus, and work here again, bring me the Peacemaker. And then her face just says it all. And then we cut back to Peacemaker and Adebayo at the cabin, and he spills the beans. He tells her everything, that he went to the other universe, that he ended up accidentally killing the other version of himself, that Keith's alive, that this universe seems so much better, and that him and Harcourt are a thing over there, and that Rick Flag Jr. is even alive over there. And I love this conversation because she tells him, like, look, no matter how much greener the grass is over there, God put you here. You're here for a reason. You're here for a purpose. And it was just a beautiful conversation. Then Vigilante shows up with the doors, and Chris sends Harcourt a text saying, hey, and wants to meet up with her right after she talked with Frank, and so they're going to meet at Kupperberg Park, and so she's setting up a trap, basically, for Chris, and Chris says to Vigilante, I need to ask Harcourt a question before I know what to do next. And so we see Harcourt getting into her car, going to the park, and she talks to Rick Flag, and is very, adamant about this is bullshit. He doesn't deserve this, and neither do I. And Rick Flag's like, you're doing the right thing. And, she tells him everything, sets him up, and the episode... oh, no, wait, it doesn't end there. So, Chris is on his way. We see Judo Master come out onto the road, and, so now we know Peacemaker is on his way to be set up by Harcourt, and I'm sure his one question is there anything here? Did that night on the boat matter to you at all? And I'm sure, obviously, because of the setup, the answer is going to be nope, not. And so we'll get there in a second. But then after that, this whole time we're laughing at Michael Brooker's character as if he's a joke, but he ends up doing this dance in the woods around a fire, and he picks the blood from his forehead, which I can handle all the gore in the world, but for some reason that scene made me squeamish. I don't know if it was the sound effects or just the sheer amount of blood coming out, but that made me squeamish for whatever reason. But he does this ritual, and we find out that he's capable of sorcery or magic or whatever, and he does this ritual that enables him to track Eagly. So not only does he know where Eagly is, but he knows where Peacemaker is hiding out and where the portal is. And then we get the end of the episode, and then the after credits are when he ate the shit, he just keeps naming off items that Eagly ate, and it just gets more and more ridiculous. But so I thought it was a great episode, very suspenseful. I'm loving these openings that are holy shit, this was actually the case the whole time, and just learning quite a bit. And so what I think is going to happen next episode is I think obviously Chris is going to slip out somehow, and he's going to be hurt by the fact Harcourt betrayed him and set him up. And I think he's going to go to the other world, and the portal's going to get closed by Rick Flag since they know where they are. And I think Eagly's going to die. I do. I hope I'm wrong. If not next episode, I do think Eagly might die. There was an part in the podcast where it wasn't recent. I think it was in the season 1. It was part of season 1. He talked about how James Gunn was talking about how he wasn't scared to kill off characters. And there was a part where he talked about fans were begging me to not kill Eagly. That wasn't his exact words, but he was talking about the idea of killing Eagly. And his word choice made it sound like he already did. I could be wrong, but I don't know. In theory, right, if Eagly were to get killed, especially after him bantering with Eagly so much this season, and he's betrayed by Harcourt, then he literally, in his eyes, would have no reason to stay here. And so I think he's going to go to the portal and then go through the quantum unfolding chamber, go to the other universe, and then Rick Flag's going to shut the portal, and he's going to get stuck there. And while stuck there, we're going to figure out what the hell is going on in this world. I hope I'm wrong about Eagly dying. I do, but like, man, I if he doesn't die, it's at least going to be close because the Eagle Killer is no joke. But yeah, another great episode. Um, this season's been awesome, actually. It's been really good. It's a deep dive. Like, there's not really even an antagonist this season. You could say that the antagonist is Argus, but really it's Chris. It's a deep dive into Chris's psyche and his feeling of hopelessness and a sense of wanting to belong, so much so that he's willing to go to another universe to play another version of himself because he truly just feels like he has nothing here. And it's sad, and it really is. It's been a really emotional season, and I like it. I think it's been really good, actually. Not many songs to talk about. I think there was only 1 or 2 songs this episode. And, but yeah, this season is just a deep dive into Chris's psyche. We're at the halfway point, and like I said in last week's review, I feel like the commercials gave too much away. Like, we all know that he's going to ultimately decide to go over to this universe. And according to the commercials, it looks like he gets stuck there. And even though Harcourt is working with Rick Flag Sr. now, in the commercials, she says, let's go get him. So, like, she's going to end up changing her mind, and they're going to end up trying to go get him. I feel like the commercials gave too much away, and we've just been kind of waiting to get to the point where he fully dives there, and now we're at that point. So from this point on, I have no fucking idea where it's going. I'm excited, and according to some of the interviews I watched with the actor that plays Judo Master, the last 3 episodes, very tight-lipped, and I'm super excited to see, because something is up with this other world. I got a lot of dislikes on my video last week for saying I think something is up that's racially motivated, and I see other reviewers saying the same thing, and then there's commenters that are going, why do you have to bring politics into this? Like, what do you mean, man? Like, I'm not. Based on my observations, there was no other ethnicity other than white people. There weren't even any other metahumans mentioned. I'm wondering if maybe the top trio killed them off, or if they ever even existed at all. And some people are theorizing that this is Earth X, where the Germans won World War II. So, no, they're not bringing politics into this. It's just, especially if you rewatch episode 3, the Sons of Liberty seem scared. They seem scared, and if you listen to the guy's speech about being oppressed and whatnot, something is definitely up. I don't know if people are on point about this being Earth X or whatnot, but there's definitely something racially motivated. And when Peacemaker gets stuck there, if he does, I'm just guessing. I think he's gonna find out, oh shit, this universe is evil, and yeah. But I love this, man. I love this emotional journey that we're going on with him. I mean, the guilt that he feels from accidentally killing his doppelganger, and that he doesn't want to leave Keith without a brother. He doesn't want to stand Harcourt up, even though, Adebayo tries explaining to him that you've already done that. You've already killed his brother. But in Peacemaker's mind, he's just, yeah. It's been really cool, and it's been a really nice season. Also, another prediction, Vigilante, they've hinted at a couple times now that he really wants to meet the other version of himself. But in Peacemaker 2's universe, it doesn't seem like he was friends with Vigilante. So, if we meet another Vigilante, I think we're going to get a purely evil, psychotic Vigilante, because he would have never been friends with Peacemaker, and having a friend is what's keeping him grounded. So I think he's going to be a full-on psychopath, and that's going to be the payoff to that. because in episode 2, you know, Peacemaker's talking about, you know, looking into your own eyes will fuck you up, and he's like, no way. I think we're gonna get a fully psychotic vigilante in this universe, or maybe we don't at all. But that's my prediction for that. Anyways, yeah, it so far it's been a great season. James Gunn said in the podcast yesterday that every episode opens with a flashback. So I love that, like, every episode is opening with, like, oh shit, like, you know, this immediately, like, you know, adds on to the lore with Harcourt being with, you know, Rick Flag Jr., with the portal was actually just found, not made by Augie's dad, or Peacemaker's dad. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the back half of this season and how intense it's going to get, because I really don't see how the fuck Peacemaker gets out of this. I really don't, because at some point, you know, his Keith and Augie are going to figure it out, and then on the other side of it, the head of Argus wants your head, you know, like, so I'm scared, I'm nervous. They're like, I truly do wonder how the hell Peacemaker's gonna get out of this, and yeah, like I said, I think Eagly's gonna die. I really hope I'm wrong there, but it might happen. But anyway, yeah, it's been fun to watch, and it's been fun to review, and I appreciate you guys watching, and yeah, thank you for being here. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow or next week if you're here for the reviews. But yeah, the show's been pretty damn good thus far, and yeah, the DC, I don't know. I guess I'm just giddy about the fact that, like, everything Marvel lately, I really haven't been looking forward. I am looking forward to the Fantastic Four, of course, but, like, I've just been glued to the DCU. Just Superman, Peacemaker, Creature Commandos. They've all just been fantastic, and I love that. And then on top of that, the Penguin and the Batman. Like, yeah, man, it's time. It's DC's time to shine. And yeah, excited for the back half of this season. It's going to be interesting for sure. So, yeah, love you guys. Thanks for watching.